Hi everyone. This week I'm going to be answering the question about emotional regulation, what that looked like for me growing up, what I learned about emotions, and yeah, let's just get right into it. So, when I think about what I learned about emotional regulation growing up, honestly, a lot of it came from what wasn't modeled. And I grew up in a household where my parents were emotionally dysregulated, they were reactive, explosive, and didn't really have the tools to express themselves in calm or effective ways. So emotions in our home felt unpredictable. They could shift really quickly, and when they did, they took over everything. Because of that, I didn't learn that emotions could be talked through, worked through, or even just felt. Um, I learned to brace for them, both emotionally and physically. As a kid, I became aware of other people's emotions, and I learned how to read the room, pick up on small changes in tone or energy, and kind of anticipate what might happen. This is the source of a lot of my anxiety, a lot of my hypervigilance, a lot of my type A personality, character traits, needing to plan, being extremely systematic in all that I do. Um, Looking back, this connects a lot to what Dr. Gabor Mate talks about, and I encourage you to do some research on his work if you haven't heard of him. So he talks about how children adapt in order to maintain connection and safety, even if it means disconnecting from parts of themselves. And I can see that in my own life. I was more focused about um, I was more focused on managing what was happening around me rather than understanding what was happening inside. Because of that, I didn't develop a strong sense of internal balance. Different parts of me were focused on staying safe, avoiding conflict, keeping things calm. My own emotions didn't have a place, they didn't matter. And I also learned, I had a revelation this week, and that was kind of like a deep dive into my psyche and myself, which was I was a deeply um, feeling child, but also very connected. So in my body and aware and confident. And my parents were dissociated and disconnected. And I'm thinking that my behavior, just me being me, was triggering for them, and they wanted me dissociated, they wanted me disconnected. And eventually, like, that's what happened to me. I have to take a deep breath and stay here, because even talking about these things makes me want to dissociate. Um, I think I learned without realizing it that emotions were either overwhelming or something you push down. And one of the ideas from Gabor Mate that really stands out to me is that trauma isn't just what happens to us, it's what happens inside of us, um, emotionally, psychologically. So even if I didn't have the language for it at the time, my nervous system was learning how to respond in an environment that didn't feel regulated. Something else he talks about, and this is probably my favorite, is that it's this idea that when we are triggered or emotionally activated, we time travel back to the age when the original wound was created. And I've noticed that in myself, and I've noticed that in others. Um, there are moments where my reaction feels bigger than what's happening. Like my body is responding from a much younger version of me. So it's not just about the present, but it's like the past shows up too. Another thing I didn't really learn growing up was repair. When conflict happened, it didn't lead to understanding or reconnection. So I didn't learn early on that relationships can move through hard emotions, or not even hard emotions. I think that any type of emotion, all emotions are valid and they're all telling us something, but anything that we're feeling, sometimes we have to have hard conversations or difficult conversations, and we need someone, a safe someone, to hold space for us, to listen to our feedback, and then there should be the conversation and then the repair if repair is necessary. That creates stability, and I did not have that modeled for me. It's something that's been really important to me, and just like my personal growth and my understanding now, is that there's nothing wrong with me for the ways that I adapted. The hyper awareness, the anxiety, the emotional guarding, those were ways of coping. They made sense in the environment I was in. So now, as an adult, I'm starting to relearn what regulation actually looks like, and I'm learning that emotions can be named, felt, and expressed without everything falling apart. And I'm learning that I can stay grounded. And that balance doesn't mean shutting parts of myself down, but it means making space. I think the biggest shift for me has been realizing that regulation is a skill and it's something I can build on, and that's been really meaningful. Also, that all these adaptations that I developed as a child, I don't need them anymore. I can be free of them and I can release them. And that is like this bondage that has kept me so tied down in so many ways. It has kept me stuck in so many different things. So I'm just so happy for that self-growth and that revelation this week. So thank you, and I look forward to watching your videos.